Okay, so thanks for letting me come here and talk to you guys. I have kind of a unique story, and so the goal of what we kind of go over today, sorry, let me turn this off, is to basically, I don't want it to just be some lecture of me just telling you guys, just preaching at you guys. I feel like in college that's a lot of things that I got and I didn't enjoy it and I didn't learn from it, never meant anything. So the goal of today is I'm going to share stories, I'm going to share experiences, transitions through the sales world, throughout the eSports world so far, and basically go kind of paint the picture of the journey, things learned along the way, and hopefully there's some pieces that jump out to you guys that will help you guys throughout the college, throughout your careers, and kind of throughout your whole life. So let's dive in because we don't have a ton of time. So just a basic background of where I'm from. So I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the East Coast, but it's about an hour north of New York City. So it's drastically different than Utah. Grew up with 4 older sisters and a younger brother. Most people probably can relate around the Utah area. And I moved here when I was 14. Super culture shock going from a place where I moved to like Alpine Highland area, went to Lone Peak. I don't know if you guys know that, but there's 3 not white kids in the whole school. And I went from a place where I was one of 3 white kids in the whole school. And so it was like a really, really rough change, but something that was really, I think, helpful as a kid, learning how to go through something harder and that changes really helps you kind of adapt kind of moving forward. So my main hobbies, soccer, motorcycles, rock climbing, and gaming, of course, obviously. Esports is one of my biggest passions. But I kind of want to go through these things because I'm going to use a lot of these hobbies as examples, and I'm going to kind of compare them. And a lot of the lessons I've learned are things I learned looking back on something that happened in the past. Because typically in the middle of a hard trial or something, you're never really going to be able to learn it fully. Like you can get a glimpse of it, but as you reflect on it, that's when you can start really making changes and growing. Now, main thing I want to go over, guys, is please make it interactive. If you ever have questions, something doesn't make sense, you guys want to talk about something, like, let's do it in the middle, right? While it's fresh in your mind, while you have a question, let's hammer it out, because that's the way we're gonna get something out of this. And if something sticks out to you or there's a nugget that you want to talk about, it's probably gonna benefit everyone. So first thing, I want to go over these core principles that I learned in childhood, but they directly correlate to the sales world, and also into this esports that I've done. So first was playing soccer. Now, when I was in Connecticut, I was on the most competitive soccer team, and for 4 years straight, we won. I mean, almost every championship we went to, every tournament, and I was definitely like the worst kid on the team. There's my dad. He actually helped coach, and so that's pretty much the reason I got on the team, to be 100%. Like I was not that good, but every day I was the first one at practice, and I was hustling because I was the slowest kid. You know what I mean? No matter what, like everything I did, like I was trying to push and catch up, and I could never seem to get ahead. But I mean, some of these kids were literally playing soccer 8 hours a day, right? Just very, very driven. And the crazy thing is I moved to Utah, and I go from literally being the worst on the team to being the star player overnight. I show up, kids are like kissing my feet, you know what I mean? Like I'm scoring tons of goals. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. I'm so cool, right? And literally just like that, I was late to every practice. I started literally like a complete night-and-day difference. I stopped practicing after school. I stopped practicing like with my friends because I was like, why do I need it? Like I'm the best guy. Like I'm so good, right? Especially as like 14, 15-year-old, like your ego is just phenomenally big. So the reason I bring this up, guys, is that this principle, the success into complacency, is something that I see more than almost any other principle that we're going to talk about. And it echoes completely into sales and then into this esports world. Now, it's a cycle, and I think a lot of people will get into it where they have a hard time, boom, they hustle, have some success, and then they think they can just coast and chill and rest, and that's when the complacency kicks in. And it's just like the philosophy of stagnant water, right? We need water to live, but if water sits long enough, it doesn't do anything, it gets gross. So that's principle number 1. Okay, now principle number 2 has to do with rock climbing. So rock climbing is one of my favorite hobbies. I don't know, has anyone rock climb here? Pretty familiar? Okay, cool, got a couple. So in the middle of high school, I would go to Momentum in Sandy, and they do these late night climbs. So you pay like $5, and from like midnight to like 3 a.m. or something, you could climb. And I went with all my friends, and there's a crazy lesson I learned here. So there's something called a dyno, and in rock climbing, if you're not familiar, there's standard just routes, but with a dyno, you have like 2 holds that are really low, and you have another hold pretty far away. And what you do is you basically throw your body weight and all your movement to reach the next hold. And the reason why it's considered like a harder move is because you have to literally let go of the wall for a second. You have to kind of figure out how to not only grab it, but you have to figure out how to not let your body slam into it, hit your head, right? There's like a million different variables you have to work into. So we show up, and there's tons of people around, and we start climbing like normal. We run into this one route, and it's like everyone's kind of crowded around it because it's one of the farthest dynos I've ever seen. It was probably like a good 9+ feet. And the crazy thing about it was everyone was trying it and no one was even getting close. Like most of the time you see people climbing and it's like there's the best guys that are getting it and some guys that aren't, but this was like people were missing by feet. So me and my friends were like, hey, let's just screw around, let's try it, right? So jump on the wall, we jump a couple times. Luckily I have like a huge wingspan, so I was like, oh, I might be able to get this. So I jumped for probably, 10 minutes. And on the last part of it, I literally skimmed the hold. I was like, oh snap, like I can freaking do this, right? And so I go sit down, I'm like gonna rest for a minute. And as I'm sitting down, the people on the bench behind me are like, well, that's the guy, like he's gonna get it, he's gonna get it, he's gonna get it. And I was like, freak, like now I have to get it. Cause like now they are expecting me to get it, even though I don't, like I can skim it, that's an accomplishment for me. Like I was just planning on screwing around and just checking it out, but I touched it. So a couple people were like, hey, like come over here, this guy's gonna get it. I was like, freaking hey, like I don't know if I can handle the pressure. I could barely do it now, and I'm getting more tired as it goes on. So then I go back to the hole and I jump for another 25 minutes, and just can't get any closer. Like barely skimming it, or just barely nicking it. And then I go back to sit down, a little bit defeated, like hey, this isn't for me, like this isn't my day. Maybe next time when the circumstances are better, when I'm more rested, I can do this first. And then it kind of clicked in, like, I mean, this jump requires 100%, 110% maybe, right? And if you jump at 95, for the rest of your life, you'll never grab it, right? Like some things in life, there's whatever it takes, and then it's whatever you want to give. And the reason I bring this up is I realized, holy cow, like if I don't have to jump for another 45 minutes. I can literally jump one time, give it everything I got, and if I can get it, then I'm done. It's completed. I don't have to worry about it anymore. So I'm all hyped up, right? Jumping around, like let's get crazy, chalk up, jump on the hold, and I'm serious in my mind. I'm like, I'm gonna kick the wall hardest I've ever kicked it. I'm gonna throw myself so hard, like if I hit my head, I don't care. I'm grabbing this hold, right? And as I go to throw myself off, one of my calluses catches on the hold, and it rips off all 4 pieces of my callus on my hand. And there's blood everywhere, and I obviously I'm pissed. I'm just having a really rough time. Sit down, everyone's checking on me, and I'm like, no, I'm fine, obviously, because adrenaline, like it's like whatever. But I was so upset because I was like, what the heck? Like I finally get to the point where I can push myself and like make this happen, and like this happens, right? And guys, I wish that was like the lesson I would have learned there, right? Like, oh, if I would have organized my circumstance better, if I would have lined this up better, if I would have come here first, and if I would have clicked that in first, like if I did 100% once 20 minutes ago, I could have got it, right? And I just got the unlucky grab of the rock, and I wish that was like the lesson I would have learned. Like sitting there, like looking at a bloody hand, and having like that set in of like, you know what, like, you don't like I wish I didn't like just stare at my hands and realize like, man, like you only need one hand to grab. Like you don't need both hands. And I wish I wouldn't have I wish I could tell you that I didn't like go back to the hold, and I wish I didn't tell you I just wrapped my hand in tape until I couldn't even feel it. And I wish I told you that I didn't jump that one next time, more tired than I ever was, with energy that I didn't have, for a reason I didn't know, and land it that one time after giving it, I thought, everything I had. And I wish I could tell I didn't land it, but I did. And that one moment like shifted my entire paradigm for how I thought of things. Because so often in our culture, we experience hard things, and some people say that's opposition to stop. But the lesson to be learned here is that that you can do great things under the right circumstances. That was the lesson I wanted to learn. But what I really learned was, what the heck? Okay, is that you can do great things regardless of circumstance. And the reason why this is so powerful in the sales industry and as you push into your careers is circumstance will always, 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 always be against you. When you guys are going out to work, there'll be days where you have a perfectly valid 100% reason to not perform, right? When my hand was bleeding and I was on the ground, people that came over were like checking on me, but they knew I was done. They're like, he's done. He's not going to do it anymore. He has a perfectly good reason. He has a pass. Like, right? Like, there was no expectation anymore. I was off the hook. I didn't have to do it anymore. All the weight was gone. And that's what I want to emphasize, guys, that it's the circumstance that you can overcome, is that mentality switching from victim and being acted upon to I can control it and I can push forward. Okay, so those are the main two principles growing up that I feel like are really hard evidence that appear in the sales world. So fast forward, I graduate high school, and some guy tells me, hey, if you want to come do sales, come knock on doors and make a ton of money. And I was like, cool, sounds great. I like money. So graduate high school, 4 days later, I moved to Minnesota with like 4 of my good friends, and we go start selling. We start knocking doors, working hard, and 3 weeks in, we sign up for like the summer, it's like a 4-month like thing. 3 weeks in, the company goes out of business. We're locked into a lease at 18 years old across the country, and we didn't get paid. And the reason I bring that up is this is a huge pivot point in my life. When that type of stuff happens, right? Again, the circumstance hits you. I have every right to be pissed. I could say, sales is stupid. It's dumb anyway. I don't care. I don't want to be here. Bail me out, mom, dad, whatever, right? I ended up meeting a guy that would end up being one of my mentors in this, and he came to me and said, hey, heard about your situation. I'll pay out your lease, but just come work for me. He's like, give sales another shot. And for me, I was like, oh, well, I don't really have a choice because I don't have any money, and I just moved across the country. But at the same time, I probably could have got money from someone, right? So that was a huge shift. Now, so I get back and I sell with this guy. The main thing I wanted the basic sales rep mentality taught me was grit. And the reason I bring up grit is probably the most important thing you guys can take away from today. That grit is something that you learn and you earn. It's not something that you have or you don't have. It's not something that somebody will have more than you and you can never be there. It's all about how hard you can hold on, how many times you can get punched in the face, and how long you can hold it, and how fast you can recover to hold again. And it's something that you just learn as a skill. The more rejection you get, the more times you get slapped in the face, the more times you get shut down, and the more times you keep holding on. That's when you develop grit. So the reason I want to bring that up is that is the number one trait I see in successful salespeople, is just the ability to have grit. Now, grit, and we'll dive into a little more later, but grit is something that there's steps and procedures to actually like build it. Number two, so working hard versus working smart. I feel like everyone has been taught this a million times, guys. What is more important? Yell it out. Let's hear it. Working smart, right? Everyone's been taught this for years, right? Just work smart, work smart, work smart. Go to school, work smart, go to school, okay? And I'm here to tell you that working smart is phenomenal, but it means absolutely nothing if you don't work hard. And that's the biggest piece that I can't drive home enough. Like, when you start, if anyone ever gets into selling, working smart if you only focus on working smart, you will literally cut your legs out from underneath you. Because the hard working part is what builds your foundation, and then the working smart tunes it all in. And so the reason I bring this up for selling for me, when we were in the door-to-door space, we'd be knocking on doors, and in the nighttime when people are home, the sales reps would all go out. In the morning when there's less people home, they're like, I'm super smart. I'm not gonna go out when there's no one out there. I'm gonna wait until it's evening, okay? Those guys end up working 2 hours a day, as opposed to 10 plus hours a day. And it's because they're saying, I'm smart. I'm gonna work when it's more effective to work, instead of I'm gonna work the whole day, and I'm gonna build this grit, I'm gonna learn how to get through it, and I'm gonna make it happen. So the reason I wanna emphasize that so hard is I feel like working smart is such a hard push thing, especially in like our, and I don't know, maybe I'm like an old man, so I don't know if I can say our, but in like the millennial kind of demographic, is that's like focused. If like the company isn't smart you're working for, if it is not tech, if it's not cool, if it's not hip, like it doesn't mean anything. But the good old hardworking farm boy aspect is being pulled away, and I think this is something that we can learn from dramatically. And then power of paradigms. This is exactly what happened in the last examples of rock climbing, right? As soon as I grabbed the hold, my whole brain shifted from, whoa, like I can do hard things, right? Like no matter what, circumstance, getting hurt, like there's no logical reason that I was able to do it, but it shifted my whole mindset of what I could do. And so the main paradigm shift that, I guess there's a couple, but one of the main ones I want to share is, because selling is such a mental job, you build these hardcore paradigms or belief systems, and it's hard to get out of those cycles. So when I first started selling, I remember going out, and my first Saturday I worked, I literally got 0 sales. And I was like, oh, Saturdays are garbage, right? Took that in, just snuggled it in, like that's my reality, right? So guess what? For the next 4 Saturdays, I didn't sell a dang thing on Saturday. And in my mind, Saturdays are stupid, hate Saturdays, they're worthless, they don't mean anything to me. Like, I'll just show up because I have to, right? Fast forward, I'm literally like, I work on a team the next year with a guy that's selling just more than I sell a week on Saturday. And I'm like, okay, so if he's doing that and I hate Saturdays, like who's right? So these types of paradigms are what shift. And so that summer, all I focused on was, guess what? Today's a summer that I love Saturdays. Excited for Saturday, I'm stoked for Saturday, Saturday's gonna be dope, Saturday's gonna be so fun. Build it up, and then when Saturday came around, guess who was selling? Right? Paradigm completely shattered, and it's only shattered through action. But what I'm saying is you can prep yourself once you figure out what these weaknesses are, and you can power through them. And we'll hit a lot on paradigms in the next little bit because there's so many potent ones. Okay, so now shifting from the rep side to the manager side, I feel like that's a huge difference, because in the rep side for three years. And by the way, so I've done this for 10 years now. So I graduated in 2009, and I've been doing it ever since. But probably like 3-4 years in, when I was like, every year, I said, guess what? I hate this job. It's stupid. I don't care about it. I don't want to do it again. But the money was good. So I was like, I guess I'll try it again, right? That mentality limited growth severely, because it wasn't about how do I get better and how do I like perform better the next year. It was, I need to rest and chill and reward myself and chill and hang out and like have a good life. And then when I want to sell, I'll go sell. And it's different. As soon as you shift into leadership, management, this is when it goes from your head to your heart, right? Knocking was just a logical thing for me. I was like, I'm going to go knock and sell, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this until I make good money. But it's very inward related. Once you become a manager and a leader, that's when you start caring about other people, and you put other people first, and you start growing other people. And so the reason I bring that up is once it shifted to here, I started realizing that I still hate sales, right? Okay, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. I feel like a lot of people I meet, they're like, oh, you must love sales. You've done 10 years, it's the best thing ever. But just so you guys know, majority of people don't like sales, okay? But the cool thing about sales is that you can tie it to whatever you're passionate about, and you can grow to love the process. You don't have to love the actual act. And the reason I bring that up is that's when it started happening for me. I started getting fulfillment from all the stuff I learned for the last 3 or 4 years, and how I could teach younger people to do that. That's where I started feeling the fulfillment of giving back, and that's when it started clicking. That's when I'm like, you know what? I could just be a manager. And if I could learn more and do more, I can give back to the people that were in the same position as me. I can get them to where I was faster. And that was like the big transition. Some people never make that transition. Some people will claim to be a leader and manager, but they'll never get out of that selfish mentality of me, my own, and myself. Now, the core principles here, though, is number one is that people do not get what they want, they get what they tolerate. Now, what do you guys think that means? Because it's easy to say you want something, right? I'll interview 200, 300 people a year, and every one of them says they want to make money. Every one of them says they want to be successful. Every one of them says, I want to provide for my family, I want a house, I want to get out of school debt free, I want this, 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 I want this. And that's what I'm here to tell you is that is completely different than this. When you're growing up and parents, and if you ask them if they're like, hey, we want you home X amount of time, whatever time your parents set is your curfew, the latest they tolerate you being out is when you're gonna come home. You're coming home 1 minute before that. That's how humans work, right? And it's not when your parents want you to come home, oh yeah, you should come home for dinner. We'd love to have you for dinner, and it's but your curfew's 11, then you're home at 10:59. And it's one of the principles that I had to learn dramatically as a manager, because I would tell guys hey, I want to help you, I want to do this for you, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And they wouldn't perform, and I didn't understand why. And all became to this. The high performing people, they choose to have higher standard, and they don't tolerate anything underneath it. And setting that standard is what's gonna dramatically change what you do with your time. Because if you're saying, hey, I want to be healthy, right? I'm gonna stop eating candy. I just want to be healthy. I'm gonna stop eating candy. Okay. Hanging out with your buddies at the movie. It's a movie. It's chill. Just this one time. I'm just gonna eat some candy. It's cool, right? But everyone knows the people that are hardcore vegan, right? They don't tolerate that. They're not oh, well, I just want to be vegan. No, they're I don't tolerate that. And if meat has looked at my vegetables, I won't eat it. You know what I'm saying? And you can see that's a completely different vibe. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, I was raised by hippies. Just, that's another little side note. Super wild, but that's why I use that reference all the time. But it's basically, if that's your level of tolerance, not only do you set your level for yourself, but everyone around you backs you up. And that's when it becomes even more strengthening, because if you say, hey dude, I'm losing weight, I'm not eating candy this year. You tell your friends I'm not eating candy, and they see you not eating candy, then when you go to eat candy, guess what they're gonna do? Say, dude, what the freak, you don't eat candy. Stop, right? But you tolerate. Now, the last thing on sales management is building positive character. Oh, what the heck? This is probably the most in-depth thing that we're going to go over. Well, I guess the most advanced thing, but a lot of guys I work with, the main thing I'm learning from them is they're building these habits that lead them to this destination, and then they're confused why they're there. And so the biggest thing to focus on here is you choose your destination and you accept whatever path it takes. And so what that means, guys, is I've seen this every day of the week. If you're hustling hard and working hard and you start feeling a little sick one day, you're I'm gonna take the day off. I've been working hard, I'm gonna take the day off. As soon as you take the day off, and as soon as you go home, and as soon as you watch movies and chill and have a nice day for yourself, as soon as you do that, guess what your body's rewarded to do? Hey, your stomach's probably gonna hurt tomorrow. Because guess what? When your stomach hurts, you don't work. You hang out. You go to the movies. You give me ice cream. You know what I'm saying? That's the reward. You're literally building the habit of, no matter what, I'm rewarding a bad behavior, and then when it's hard to keep going out, and hard to work, you don't have any momentum and you can't, because you've literally reinforced bad habits so much. And I want to bring this. I love bringing this up because it's in every aspect of life, and it's hard because a lot of these principles are really, really hard to do. especially when it comes down to like diet and things like that. But making the positive thing you want, the path of least resistance, will be your greatest asset to growth. And what it means by that, if you want to wake up at 6 and it's hard to wake up at 6, and every time your alarm goes off at 6, it's really easy to press the snooze button, like make the hard thing to press the snooze button. Set 3 snooze buttons around the room. Make it freaking impossible to press snooze. And it's easier to get up, press, and get up. Does that make sense? So you want to literally lay out your pathways to build positive things in your character, right? And this is something I've worked for a lot of sales companies, and a lot of them don't promote healthy and integrity with their selling. They promote money. Hey, it's all about you to make money. It's all about you to produce sales, and you make money. Money, 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 money. And the thing that you'll never get is they intrinsically push into you that do whatever it takes to make the money. And then they're super surprised when there's like lawsuits and like legal things and like all these like weird things that hit them. And it's because they're promoting, they're like, hey, if you lie, here's some more money. Guess who's going to become an avid liar? It's the crazy thing is like I feel like when I say this, like I feel like it's not like rocket science and everyone's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But like I'm telling you, like 90% of the people that I meet with don't get this. Like it's like a mystery. They come to me and they're like, hey, I do this, this, and this. I don't understand this. It's like, dude, like you see how like you're literally pushing yourself towards that. And that one thing of just being able to step back and like help someone from afar, that like guys, that's like fulfillment. You know what I mean? Because some people can't see it. You have blind spots. Okay. Sorry, okay, I gotta speed this up. I'm super sorry. Any questions? Okay. So preparing for golden opportunities. So this is gonna be starting to shift from the sales world to the eSports world, okay? Now, the reason I bring this up is obviously mindset. I've freaking beat that horse to the freaking ground. Main thing I want to hit on here is just abundance. Abundance is freaking key. Guys, in the classroom, if everyone gets an A, does it hurt anyone else? No. And this is why I bring it up, is there's some parts of our culture that are very abundant and healthy, and there's some parts of our culture that are very negative. And the reason I bring it up is once you get in the workforce, there's some people that you'll lose a job, you'll lose a deal, you'll run into something that will shoot you down, and you have that choice to say, man, that was my one shot. That was it. That's all I have. That's the only thing left. There's only one of them. There's only one. There's only one. The last thing, I'm scared. This is mine, right? But I'm telling you guys that it is infinitely abundant. In life, you can all get A's. You can all be successful. You can all get your dreams, and it all has to do with this mindset that there's more than enough for everyone. If an opportunity doesn't work out, don't dwell on it. You're done. Next opportunity, there's more. But you can miss plenty of good opportunities dwelling on crappy ones. And the thing about it is you don't need to dwell. You can let it go. There's so much more out there. Okay, the why. This is going to be your driving force. The bigger you build your why, the more powerful you're going to be at work. Okay? The reason I bring this up is every year my why changes. Every year my why grows. For me, and we haven't even gotten to the esports scene yet, but what we're doing is we're building esports programs for high schools and colleges so that kids can get to college through gaming. Now, we're not talking about standard gaming. I'm talking about actual competitive, basically like chess, right? Like outthinking, outsmarting, teamwork-based things that show dramatic increase in students' not only happiness, but also in their grade production. Now, for me, that's what I wanted when I was a kid. I liked soccer. I thought it was awesome. I was in a good place. But if gaming was the option, 100%. The reason I like soccer is I like being on the team. I like pushing myself. I like hustling. I like scoring goals, right? But it didn't have anything to do with the actual sport of soccer. It had to do with what I connected with. So for me, that's like a development of a why. There's a bunch more to it, right? But the thing is, this will develop and build every day, and there'll be things you run into every day you'll feel that fire of like, you'll nick it, and you're like, dude, what do I like about that, right? Happens a lot in college. You'll do one major, literally just to find out that you like one piece of that one major, and you don't like anything else, and so you shift majors. And then you realize, holy crap, a lot of money, but I'm gonna do this other major, right? People shift majors all the time, and the reason is because they find a piece of their fire, they attach to it as the one piece of their truth, and that's their goal. But the reality is there's a piece of it that's giving them all that energy, and they have to figure out what it is. I had a sales guy telling me about, it was actually funny, he was telling me about soccer. He's like, dude, love soccer, my favorite thing in the world. I was like, cool, let's build analogies around soccer so you can better understand the things we're teaching. Come to find out, within like 2 hours, we found out he doesn't even like soccer. He just like likes that his family watched him play soccer growing up, and he liked being like the showman. Like he liked that they came, they supported him, they were there for him every time, and that was the value he craved. And so guess who quit intramural soccer? Like he was done. He's like, dude, I don't even like soccer, right? And the crazy thing is he literally goes from this paradigm shift of soccer's my everything, I'm gonna be a pro soccer player, to like selling his shoes the next day on Craigslist. You know what I mean? Like the biggest shift ever. And it all came down to this, is the why, finding out what that is. And that's super hard to do if you're always engulfed in busy work and you're not spending quality time with yourself. And we'll get to that in a second. Oh, good heavens. All right, I'm trying to speed this up. Okay, and then vision, same thing we talked about. Choose the destination, accept the path. Do not do the opposite. If you choose the easy path and you're just gonna accept wherever that leads, that's what you have to do. But if you choose the destination, it's insanely easier to take the path. If you had to take a 20-hour plane ride and had no idea where you're going, you'd be miserable on that plane ride. But if that plane ride took you to Rome and a full tour of Europe, and it was going to be the most crazy vacation of your whole life, same act, same 20-hour plane ride, right? But how stoked are you on the plane for 20 hours as opposed to how much you hate your life because you have no idea what you're doing? So learning how to have the vision and figuring out what you guys want, that's going to be a huge piece. Okay, so let's dive in. For Land King, right? So that's a picture of the venue. Number one, so this is something I've always wanted to do since high school. My house was the house that we always had guys coming over, setting up computers and Xboxes, and we'd just be gaming, right? That was my favorite thing to do. I love the competitive aspect of it. I love being able to outsmart and outthink people. I thought that was like the most fun thing. And the problem was, though, that if I would have started this business 10 years ago out of high school, I would have utterly failed. And it has nothing to do with the passion, and that's what I want to focus with you guys. It has zero to do with the passion. I didn't become more passionate, I didn't become less passionate. It has everything to do with the opportunity, okay? Now, and this is so hard to say because so many people will tell you, go for passion. Do what you love, 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 do what you love. But the problem is if you don't do what you love the right way, you don't figure out how to do it the right way, you're never going to be able to be as successful as you want to be with it. And that's like it's such a shock for some people. So I love this quote because luck is when preparation meets opportunity, guys. And I believe in this wholeheartedly. Like literally just a few weeks ago, I was like, man, I am so freaking lucky. Like at work, like things just fall in our lap. Like seriously, like the most ridiculous things fall in our lap. And I'm like, man, I'm so freaking lucky. And then the guy's like, no, dude, like we've prepped for this for like a year. Like we've been ready for this for a long time. Like we're ready to go. And like it was luck, right? Because this opportunity fell in our lap. But if we weren't prepared for it, it means nothing. And so that's why this is so vital. So how to find your passion. These are the main tips. Now, overall biggest feature is don't overthink and act. Whatever you think your passion is, go do it. Don't think about it. If you just think, oh, I love soccer, right? I love this, I want to do this. Like, stop thinking about it and just go freaking do it. You need to think about it enough to know that you want to do it. Obviously, don't think about anything, but don't overthink. If you spend all your time overthinking, it will dramatically be a negative impact. Okay, so get to know yourself. That's number one. Guys, being busy is not good. Like, modern society is hustle, and there's good results that come from that. But if you don't know who you are, you don't spend quality time with yourself, you don't have some time to chill, relax, meditate, like really figure yourself out. If you don't know what's going on here, you don't know where you're going to go. So this is crucial. Okay, once you start understanding yourself, once you start analyzing what your top hobbies are and why they make you happy, like genuinely, like write them out. Find out what gives you the absolute fire and makes you excited. And then number 3 is develop a high income skill. Now there's a whole book that I read about this that I love, and the whole idea of it is if you have a goal and the only thing stopping you is money, then learn how to make money. Like if your goal is X and all it requires is money, then learn to tie your passion to making that money to then get to your goal. because if you change your goal to just be whatever path is kind of easiest for you, it's going to be really, really hard. But if you pay the price now, develop the high income skill, you can chase any passion you guys want. And that's why I can't emphasize that enough. Now, last thing is all about planning well and execution. Execution, execution, execution. I guarantee you that thousands of people have thought of Land King, the idea of it, before me. The idea of high school esports. I'm sure thousands of people have thought of it. But it's the same thing. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. But until you make the plan and you start executing, it means nothing. So these are the four big steps, guys. And I hope you guys save this, look at it in the future, like dial this in, because this is so crucial. Now, as far as the high income skill thing, biggest thing that helped me build grit in the beginning was the forecast. When I saw the guy, the mentor that was showing me, and I saw that he made $500,000 in a 4-month summer, I said, holy cow, I'll freaking lick the carpet for 4 years to be able to do that once. I'd rather pay that price and figure this out and have a skill where I can make $500,000 in a summer. I'll freaking do anything, like whatever it takes. Like that's what I'll do, because that's what I want to do. That's my goal. That's my destination. I'll get there. That's what I want. And that's why it was so freaking gritty. Because when I wanted to let go, I was like, no, like I'm going to get this. No matter what it takes, I'll do whatever it takes to make sure I get there. And that's where the grit came in. Okay? Now, again, execution. It's all about patience and preparation. So once you have your idea, once you find out what freaking drives you, like build the business model, like to the nines. If someone's like, oh, I want to open up a chiropractic studio, cool, how much is a chiropractic chair? Like if they don't know that, then they just want it. Again, they just want it. And we're not about the want, we're about planning, executing. If you say, hey, I want to open a hair salon, right? Let's talk about it. So what do you want to do after college? Yeah, do you have an idea? Accounting? Okay, cool. So I guess for you in accounting, do you have like your goals lined up of what you want to, what your goals are in accounting? Okay. 100%. Like I'm saying, like call today an accountant and say, hey, let me hang out with you for a little bit. Let me see what you do. Like let me see if this is what I want to be, and like teach me the process. Like start, middle, end. Like stuff like that is like so important, because if you find out once you get there that you freaking hate it, like, and you might love it. It might be your perfect calling. I don't know you. I don't know you. But the reason I'm bringing this up is I've just met so many people that think that they found their passion. They get there and they're like, holy cow, I don't even like it. But it's because they didn't do all the planning and preparation and realize they didn't want it. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, guys, because it's something that everyone does. And like even myself all the time, like I'm not here preaching like I'm the perfect person. Like I went to school for physical therapy, and I went and did the physical therapy internship. Found out I thought it was going to be amazing, because I was like, oh, I'm going to work with kids. I'm going to teach kids are going to get hurt in basketball, and I'm going to help them. I'm going to be so cool. And then I went there, and for 3 weeks straight, I just helped old people. And I realized, man, guess what? That doesn't vibe with me. Like, nothing wrong with that, but for me, I realized, holy cow, I think it's kids. That's what I want to do. So shift. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a bodybuilder. I'm going to do personal training. That's going to be my thing. Like all in, right? Moved to California, did a few-month internship. Again, same exact problem. I was like, what the freak? Like, I'm only working with these rich people that hate working out, and they pay me to make them work out. Like, this is stupid. Like, this is the worst. Like, I don't even like this. But I found out what I like. Number one, with the personal training, I love the idea of growing and building and helping people get better that want to get better. And I found that exact passion in the sales world. I pulled it back in there. Physical therapy, same thing. I love the idea of taking kids, helping them rehabilitate, get better, learn, be able to give back, like the whole work. That's how it works. And so this is from one of the assemblies at Provo High, where we launched the first eSports program for the high school. And the kids were absolutely losing their minds, because they realized that, holy cow, they're going to be like the forefront of this eSports movement. And the principal has been telling us, like, hey, like the kids are the happiest they've ever been, the most excited they've ever been, their grades are going way up, and like stuff like that, like blows up your fulfillment levels, and it's like the success at the end of the tunnel. And so once you figure out what you want, you follow the path and you execute, like you can get to the place where you can follow whatever dream you want, and you can figure out like what that's going to lead you to. Oh gosh, okay. All right, I'll try to be quick. All right, so sorry, questions. I'm sorry I have to like gloss through. I wish I could talk more. Questions, thoughts, concerns? Anyone? So eSports, if you guys are familiar, there's a lot of games that are being played at a very high competitive level. So right now in the eSports world, there are a lot of, there's like a pro level team. So basically there's like an NBA, right? And the problem right now, that the solution, the market we're fixing is that there's the NBA and then there's the guy shooting hoops in his backyard. And there's no in between. Well, then there's the lucky guy that makes a cool shot on YouTube and then he gets slingshotted, right? But there's no in between process. So eSports right now is seen as still a distraction. They think kids are wasting their time and their energy doing something that doesn't get them anywhere. Same thing as like all those freaking old movies when like the parents are like, all you do is play baseball in the field, right? Like you're wasting your life. And then as soon as that kid can make $1 million playing baseball, guess what? Their parents change their whole mind. They're like, oh, I guess that's really cool. And that's exactly where eSports is. There's this pro organization, there's a bunch of support, but it's unorganized. And high schools in particular hate it because kids will sneak on the computers, they'll hack stuff, they'll jump in on all these different things. And so what we were able to do and how to implement the eSports into the model is we require they have a better GPA than sports. We require that if they ever are caught on a computer gaming at school, they're kicked out. We literally have like very stringent requirements and the kids' discipline has gone up dramatically. We've literally had parents call us and be like, hey, so my kid told me to lock up his Xbox until his grades are up, like what's going on? And it's like this, right? It's the philosophy of karate, guys. Like parents don't pay for their kids to go to karate so that they can learn to beat up other kids, right? That's like not the goal of karate, right? The whole MO of karate is we're gonna teach your kids discipline. We're gonna teach your kids how to learn how to hone themselves, how to defend themselves, right? Like they're gonna learn all these really amazing features and cultures. And why is it karate though? Because the freaking kids love karate. That's the answer to that. And that's like, people always are looking, they're like, well, like eSports, you can't be addicted. It's like, I mean, everything can be addicted, right? People can be addicted to food, whatever. Like there's so many different addictions in life that they all have to be done the right way. And that's the whole spin-off of eSports and what we're doing is making so that kids can be creative, fuel their outlet, compete, and get to college. And as long as we can do that, then we're being successful. Great question. So we started as a beta program where the principal says, hey, if any of my kids' grades drop, like your program's cut. If a single kid misses this, you're out. And unfortunately, we also had to float the entire cost. So we started with one high school though, Provo High. We decided, hey, we're gonna run a beta program with this one high school. We're gonna show you guys what it means. And if there's any problems, we'll cut the program, we'll lay it to rest. Within 4 months of this launch, we had 9 high schools sign up. And the best part was, it was the kids that posted like about this, that the other kids pushed their administration and says, we want this and we want this like now. Administration's like, what the heck? And so we go meet with them and the administration says, we'll pay you $0 to do this. And so there's no way you're gonna get it done. And then I said, okay, well, guess what? Like, luckily, skin in my teeth, I have a high income skill, right? I can float and pay for all these high school kids to build this until it's mastered. And once it's mastered, we'll make plenty of money, right? Like it's a good business model. But what I'm saying is, like, if I didn't have the money to do this, like, there's no way I could have done it. No way I'm gonna get a lender to like fuel some crazy new idea that like isn't even proven that potentially schools could just butcher and shoot down. But same exact thing is we start that level and now like some of the schools it's actually an athletic, like in the athletics department, which is why it's so cool. And this fall will be our first like real season that we'll actually have majority of the high schools in Utah County on board with, and that's gonna be really, really cool to see. Great question though. Anyone else have questions? Great question. So we focus on games that are very creative and teamwork based. Something that we can have not only a team, but assign a leader and a captain, and that we can take help them perform as a group. So the main games we work on right now is League of Legends, which is 5-man, Overwatch, which is a 6-man game, Rocket League, which is a 3-man game, and then Super Smash Brothers. And we only, in that aspect, focus on the team and the crew battle type aspect. And and we do that very, very strategically because we don't want parents to think that their kids are just like escaping, that they're just like wasting time. We want to show them like literally on paper, like your kid's performing this much better, and these are the constructive games that are helping get there. And the goal is to incorporate more and more games every year as new games develop. But these games are so influential. And that's actually what triggered our, we started doing an academic study with BYU, because they released an article about, I want to say 3 months ago, about how they did a study with all these participants were in a group, and they had to complete a hard task. And they gave each group a different stimulus. One was reading, one was gaming, and there's like 4 or 5 other ones. One was like meditation or whatever. There's a whole bunch of different stimulus they gave them, and then they see how they perform in a hard task. Thank you. And the ones that were gaming together performed in a group at a much, much, much more effective level. And I think the main thing to be learned from that isn't necessarily that gaming is like the best thing ever, but what it does is it unites you quick. It's a team-based thing that you have to learn together. And as soon as you have that learning and vulnerability of like, oh shoot, like I don't really understand, like help me. Like as soon as you get that, boom, you build a good team. Any other questions or thoughts? I think I'll be quick. Okay, cool. Yeah, so, okay, cool. I think I just 2 more. So how to create your team. So this is the biggest thing I've learned in this. Environment is everything, guys. The people you spend your time with, you'll be like them, regardless if you want to. If you don't like the people you hang out with, stop hanging out with them. That's like the freaking bottom line, no matter what. Environment is everything. You will change, you'll become, you'll talk like, you'll act like, you'll do everything like the people you spend your time with. So make sure the people you spend time with are people you like and you look up to and you admire. Now, number 2 is all about when you hire. And now this is not just team for work. I want to say like hire is like associate, right? So like when you make a new friend, right? You hire a friend, right? You don't necessarily always want them to be exactly like you. And the reason is if all your friends are in the same boat, doing the same things, in the same mindset, it's really hard to see weaknesses. It's really hard to see blind spots. On a team for work, it's especially important because if you can get blindsided by something you're not thinking about, crucial. In friendship, it's amazing because if like, guys, I'm telling you, like these are principles that I guarantee you can apply to your life, like very, very directly. Like when you have a good, solid friend and you can tell them like, hey, by the way, the person you're dating is a jerk to you, right? They sometimes literally can't see it. Like in their mind, they're happy. In their mind, they're set. But like, and if you were exact same, like you might see it that way. But the thing is, typically, having someone different around you that's uplifting you is the best thing that you can do for your environment. Okay, last thing, be vulnerable. Best way I could quote it, right? If it's like a standoff, right? If you walk in a room and 2 people have a knife, like who's gonna put down the knife first, right? Like you're like in a state of like defensiveness, like I don't want to like I gotta make sure no one's gonna stab me, right? Like the way this works is being vulnerable is showing a weakness, and in a lot of the world that's a bad thing. But when you're building a team, when you're building something with people, in your family, when your friendships, in your team, like saying, hey, like just so you know, like I'm really bad in this area, like I could use help, and being vulnerable and saying, hey, like I'm bad at this. And having someone look at you and say, instead, like, there's a fear of like, oh, they're gonna make fun of you. Oh, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that, right? Those are fixed here though. If you're spending time with good people, that will fix. But being vulnerable is like, hey, these are my problems, like, help me. Like, this is what I need help with, right? People will rally harder than anything to help another human, even if they don't do it for themselves. And so being vulnerable is so, so key. Expose your weaknesses, work with people, share it, and it will help literally grow a team beyond anything, is that, okay? Okay, last thing. Oh, perfect. Committing to work hard, guys. Committing 100% in on something and 99%, I'm like I was gonna ask questions, all this fun stuff, but literally 100% is easier. 100% is easier, 100% is easier, and I can tell you that 7 days a week, guys. Commit 100% to whatever you want to do, right? I'm not saying you have to commit forever, right? Whatever you think your passion is, commit 100%, be all in. The reason I bring that up, again, the food thing, right? If you say, hey, I want to be healthier, I'm going to eat candy 1% of the time. Every time you see candy, your mind says, is this the 1% of the time? Is this the one time I'm going to do it? And all your mental energy is spent on this like thing that you don't even freaking want. But when you're 100% in, oh, candy, peace. Not even, like, doesn't even faze me, because guess what? I'm 100% in, I'm not eating candy. Anyway, so that's the core of this thing, guys. Be committed. Figure out your passions. Make it happen. Thanks for staying. And if you have questions, you can talk to me after. Thanks for listening. And If you guys need anything, I'm always open for coaching, mentorship. If you guys have questions about business, like any day of the week, call me.